Abraxas, Beyond Good and Evil by Michael Faust. The Illuminati. The Illuminati's religion is the most highly developed expression of Gnosticism, and it is called illumination. Dedicated to the pursuit of enlightenment, it has many parallels with the Eastern religions of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism. It rejects the Abrahamic religions of faith, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, considering these works the work of the demiurge, an inferior, cruel, and wicked deity who deludes himself that he is the true God and who has inflicted endless horrors on humanity. Introduction. A critical question arises: was Western religious thinking ever compatible with Eastern religion? And if so, what caused the astonishing divergence of later history? And what became of those Western religions that were once in harmony with the East? By Western religion, we mean Abrahamism, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. There are many Muslims in the East, of course, but Islam defines itself with regard to Judaism and Christianity, of which it sees itself as the culmination. Eastern refers to Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism. All other religions are just variations of these themes. West, faith, versus East, self-knowledge. He stands outside the universe. The universe is his creation, but he is not part of it. It is not of the same substance as God. He could end the universe at any time of his choosing, but he himself would not thereby come to an end. How can the discrepancy be accounted for? Why is the starting point of existence not imperfection that evolves towards perfection? Then we would have no difficulty in explaining the imperfections of the world. But such questions are neither answered nor permitted by Abrahamists. What exactly is the function served by the universe so vast that almost all of it will never be seen or known by us? Why would God create anything so spectacularly unnecessary? If it is not unnecessary, then what is the purpose of it serving? Plainly, it cannot be a purpose that has any connection with humanity, since it is far beyond any possibility of human contact or direct knowledge. Indeed, the humans of 2000 years ago had no knowledge whatever of galaxies beyond ours. So humanity is therefore not special. No Abrahamist has ever attempted to answer these basic questions. They are simply ignored along with all other inconvenient questions. A universe that is consisted of nothing but a flat earth inhabited by a few thousand people would qualify as an unambiguous creation. An infinitely large universe full of countless stars and planets, almost all of them hidden forever from humanity, might be considered proof that there is no Abrahamic God, because the human race has no conceivable importance in such a universe. It is but an infinitely small speck of dust. Only the insane would conclude that Earth was the focus of the universe and the Creator. There isn't any evidence to support such a conclusion. It all points the other way. He does not make it a hurtling rock in an inconsequential solar system, in a nondescript quadrant of an unexceptional galaxy in an infinitely large cosmos. He does not populate the universe with black holes and supermassive black holes, with dark matter and dark energy, with quantum vacuum fluctuations. What possible function do these serve in respect of the created earth, God's infinitely special treasure on which his attention is always focused? None at all. The Abrahamists say that God is watching all of us, that he has a special relationship with each and every one of us, that he is a personal God of salvation. The Jews say that they are God's special chosen people and that he has promised them a Messiah. The Christians say that God sent his own son to atone for our sins. The Muslims say that God wrote the Quran for us and delivered it via the angel Gabriel to an illiterate desert tribesman called Muhammad. None of this would make one particle of sense if the cosmos were infinitely large. Does Abrahimism make any sense at all? Is the human race or the huge part of it mad? Is the planet Earth a cosmic lunatic asylum? Is it hell? The Protestant irrationalists. Martin Luther's statement that reason is the devil's whore represented the triumph of the forces of total, unapologetic irrationality. Protestantism is an insane religion, utterly contemptuous of any intellectual agenda. Believe in Jesus Christ and you'll be saved is the sum and substance of this laughable religion. Leave your brain outside, not needed, ever. Instead, Protestants have infinitely more respect for material wealth. For Protestants, money always trumps ideas and culture. Just look at America, a nation led by white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, WASPs. No one looks to America for high culture. The opposite is true. America is a junk machine, churning out enormous amounts of Protestant mind population. Only in America could someone like Sarah Palin be spoken of a potential president. She crystallizes Protestant anti-intellectualism and Protestant low culture. Palin was apparently baptized as a Catholic but then raised as a Protestant. She's an image-obsessed, money-grabbing, dumb capitalist espousing all of the usual Protestant obsessions of small government, tax cuts, family values, patriotism, God. By undermining the power and authority of the Catholic Church, it allowed Renaissance thinking to gather steam and eventually evolve into a great period known as the Enlightenment, when science and philosophy at last broke free from the shackles of Christianity and ushered into the modern world. Protestants are the opposite of the agents of Enlightenment. Most creationists are Protestant. The Tea Party are Protestant. The Confederates were Protestant. Most slave owners were Protestants. Capitalism is a Protestant ideology. Protestantism is actually a much larger, greater evil than Catholicism. As for Islam, why is it so backward? The answer is simple. It had neither a Renaissance nor a Reformation, nothing to rein back the orthodox position. The suspension of disbelief. Many human minds make sense of the world through emotionally satisfying stories, not through abstract reason. Why are science and mathematics regarded as boring by so many people, especially women? It's because they don't tell a nice little story involving a hero or a heroine. There are two types of human reasons, abstract and narrative, and they have almost nothing in common. We might even call them masculine and feminine reason. Abstract reason is based on hard logic and analysis, usually converted into some form of cold, clinical, precise mathematics, expressed in complex equations. This type of reason can be immensely emotionally satisfying for those who are masters of it, but it does not intrinsically contain emotion. Abstract reason is about cause and effect supported by evidence. The overwhelming majority of those skilled in abstract thinking have been men. Whether anyone likes it or not, that's just a plain fact. Autism, a condition of extremely low empathy and sometimes associated with exceptional mathematical savants, predominantly affects males and has been described in terms of an extreme male brain. Asperger's syndrome, a type of high functioning autism, has been linked to many scientists and mathematicians. Narrative reason, on the other hand, is all about emotion, a quality to which women are said to be enormously more attuned than men. Empathy and sympathy are essential to a good story. Narrative reason is about cause and effect centered on emotion, not on any evidence. A hero must behave heroically. Narrative cause and effect demands it. The good must be good and the bad must be bad. A good character might do something bad, but the narrative cause and effect demands that he pay a price and then become good again. There is no hero in history who has started off as absolutely good and ended as absolutely bad, or vice versa. These scenarios would breach narrative cause and effect. The rules of narrative cause and effect are rigorous and scrupulous, but they are all based on producing emotionally satisfying results, based on conventionally accepted ideas of good and evil. Abrahamism is all about storytelling. It's a religion of narrative cause and effect. Abrahamism's only weak point is that it is manifestly barking mad if you apply any rigorous logic to it. It has all the right ingredients, tried and tested over many centuries: mystery, magic, the supernatural, miracles, the divine, revenge, hatred, sex, violence, lust, love, mercy, greed, envy, betrayal, sacrifice, struggle, glory, heroism, beating all the odds, coming back from the dead. It's all in there. What's not in there is mathematics, science, and philosophy. But who cares about those? Most people on earth have zero understanding of mathematics, science, and philosophy. So, how could they possibly base their value systems on things they know nothing about? So, instead, they base them on myth and legend, fairy tales and folk tales, fables and parables, all the things that make sense to them. Hitler was just as astute when it came to money. The most sensitive part of a man is not his skin but his wallet. And he understood that the ends always justify the means. I shall give a propagandist reasons for starting a war, no matter whether it is plausible or not. The victor will not be asked afterwards whether he told the truth or not. When starting and waging a war, it is not right that matters, but victory. The Nazi regime used all the same ingredients as the Abrahamic religions. Hitler was both prophet and God. His book, Mein Kampf, was the Bible. The master race was the new version of the chosen people. The promised land for the Nazis was the East, the Soviet Union. The Nazis made heavy use of ancient Germanic myths and legends, tales of heroes and gods, of evil and greedy dwarfs, the Jews, tales of rats and vermins, the Jews again, threatening to engulf the civilized world of pure blood. The Jews were portrayed as a plague or a deadly cancer that had to be excised. The same fear, revulsion, and hatred was directed towards them as Abraham is directed towards infidels. The parallels between Nazism and Abrahamism are endless. Both are based on narrative. The most famous piece of film depicting Nazi Germany is The Triumph of the Will by Leni Riefenstahl, a beautiful and talented woman who fully embodied the Nazi look, a superlative work of emotional propaganda. As Nazi Germany faced defeat in the Second World War, they deserved to lose. And thus, at the end, Hitler invoked the great myth of Götterdämmerung, the twilight of the gods, when everything perishes in a great fire of total destruction. And as Sigmund Freud identified, the drive for death and destruction, which he labeled Thanatos, after the Greek god of death, was the most potent one. The master race, driven by the most extreme hubris, and after the most breathtaking victories, were in the end totally humbled by those they had called subhuman, but who proved to have much stronger will, and thus gods perished. Unfortunately, Abrahamism has not yet encountered the end of its particular story, but it is surely coming. All stories, unlike reason and logic, meet their appointed end. That is the inescapable logic of story. Abrahamism will not survive this century. Already the narrative levers have been pulled that will bring the last curtain down on Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And the rest of us will live happily ever after. Who controls the narrative? Human beings are fundamentally story people. They feed on narrative. They understand reality via narrative. It's hardwired in them. If they cannot comprehend something, they invent a spirit, a ghost, an angel, a demon, or above all, a god to account for it. So rather than an abstract scientific and philosophical account of how we came to exist, most of us prefer something that says, who made us? God made us. He created the world in 6 days, and on the seventh, He rested. So we should too rest on the seventh day. Che Guevara was a communist or radical revolutionary, yet his image was turned into a poster that all over the world took pride of place on the walls of young capitalists going through their rebellious phase. Thus, a sworn enemy of capitalism literally became the poster boy for the capitalist money making machine. Revolution and rebellion were turned into a commercial package. And when you got bored with your Che Guevara poster, you could take it off the wall and put a new one, perhaps of Megan Fox. And thus, revolution is turned into a lifestyle choice that teenagers go through for a while. And when they grow up, they become good capitalist worker droids, dutifully going along with the narrative of the masters, the richest people on earth. So much for Che. Psychologically, human beings go out of their way to protect the truths of comforting stories. They devise stratagems such as repression, denial, and projection to avoid gazing into the abyss of analytical, abstract truth that strips away their precious story truths. What is more emotionally satisfying? That the earth is the center of the God's plan, as Abrahamism teaches, or that the earth is an insignificant speck, one planet amongst perhaps an infinite number, as science teaches. To remove the comforting emotional story, truth from them would be to destroy them. Nietzsche always had that in mind with his concept of eternal recurrence. He wanted to devise a breeding idea that would reduce the weak to suicidal despair and cause them to refrain from ever having families. The only people who would be able to affirm harsh truths would be the supermen that Nietzsche envisaged as the future of higher humanity. But the Eastern story is very different. We find deliverance from our woes not by worshipping God, but by becoming God. How do we accomplish this astounding feat? By overcoming the ignorance, delusion, and desires that lock us in a false reality. The concept of God is radically different in Eastern thinking. God, at the most profound level, is formless, abstract, eternal being, lacking anything that might be described as personal attributes. God is both immanent and transcendent, both manifest and unmanifest, the truth and the whole. These are all just different perspectives of the one. Everything that exists, everything that is real, is just a different aspect of the underlying unity, the eternal essence. God is beyond the senses, without limit, inexhaustible, without beginning, without end, outside space and time, beyond causality, eternal, unchanging, indefinable. Everything is an aspect of God, but everything doesn't understand that. The many aspects of God are alienated from their true essence. The phenomena of God do not comprehend the noumenon that is God, and must undergo a arduous process to perceive the truth. There is no creator and no creation. The cosmos comes from God, exists in God, and will return to God. God is the ocean and the waves are the cosmos. The waves rise up from the cosmos and fall back again. Time is cyclical, like the tides. God can unmanifest himself, quieting the ocean until it is completely flat and tranquil. Whereas in Abrahamism, each of us is created by God, and we are of a different substance from God. In Eastern thought, we are eternal, uncreated, unborn, timeless, deathless, the same substance as God. In Abrahamic thinking, sin and evil are real. In Eastern thinking, they are illusions. In Abrahamism, God personally judges us for what we have done. In Eastern thinking, we judge ourselves via our personal karma. Since we are all really God, then in that sense, God is judging us. Is there the possibility of a narrative that can actually deliver paradise on earth and the vastly superior and more enlightened human race? The answer is yes. And it lies in the Western religions that were consigned to oblivion by Abrahamism. These were the mystery religions of ancient Greece, the mystery schools, esotericism, Dionysianism, Orphism, Mithraism, Hermetism, alchemy, Gnosticism, Catharism, Templarism, Rosicrucianism, and all initiatory religions and secret societies. Change the narrative, revalue all values, remove all psychologically damaging belief systems from the human condition. The Abrahamic story is toxic. It must be purged from humanity's bloodstream. Only then will the patient, the human race, recover from its long illness. The two types of religions. You will understand religion if you comprehend that despite all of the apparent complexities, there are actually only two shows in town. Number one, God creates us and we are always infinitely far below Him. Number two, we and God are the same. And if we raise our consciousness to the level of enlightenment, we will perceive that to be the case.